What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react and learn about is it a myth that Canadians are nice? I mean, have us Americans been lied to? I mean, what is even real anymore? If Canadian politeness and kindness is a total myth. So that is exactly what I want to learn about here today by taking a look at this Reddit discussion where somebody asked, is it a myth that Canadians are nice? And we're going to take a look at some of the responses and comments here where Canadians are answering this question, maybe defending themselves a little bit, and the Canadian niceness pride is at stake. If you actually take a look, this discussion has been locked down due to too many rule-breaking comments. This will be very interesting to take a look at, I think. That's a little foreshadowing. Let's take a look. This person asked, I've been living in Canada for about a year, and more often than not, I'm hit with some rude act out of the blue. Really? This is just not behavior you expect to hear about in Canada. I'm shocked most of the times by strangers at the gym and stores, but I've also encountered passive aggressiveness in the workplace. I mean, the passive aggressiveness in the workplace, I mean, that is, especially here in the United States, that is par for the course. That is perfectly normal. I would think something strange is going on if there was no passive aggressiveness in the workplace. But where is this person hanging out in Canada? Strangers at the gym and stores hitting them with rude acts? What are these rude acts as well? I'm curious. As a Brazilian, oh, so this person is from Brazil, moved to Canada. Being polite and friendly is the go-to way to treat strangers. I'm pretty sure that's exactly the same philosophy Canadians have, being polite and friendly to strangers. That's literally Canada is known for that. I think that's exactly why I'm so alarmed and fascinated by this discussion. That doesn't mean I'm a pushover, but lately it feels like my politeness and my friendliness is backfiring. Backfiring? Backfire. You go to Canada and you're like, hey, what's up? Have a good day. And they're like, just shut up. Shut up. I hate you. Like, what? Backfiring? How can politeness and friendliness backfire? What are people doing when you're being kind and friendly? What the heck? It's just the way. Is this just the way Canadians are? I don't think so. I mean, literally, it goes without saying, like, the American stereotype we have for Canadians is that Canadians are very kind, generous, polite, empathetic, respectful. That is literally what we think of when we think of Canadians. So this is a very strange story to me to be hearing. Should I be less friendly overall? Can this be a racial thing? I'm not sure. Should I stop being nice to people and start being rude as well? Oh God. Which I wouldn't like to, but if it means they'll respect me more, I'll do it. I don't know if this person's had bad luck in Canada, if it's a certain area of Canada, certain people. I don't know. I have no idea. But I want to take a look at some of the top responses and see what Canadians are saying, how Canadians respond to these accusations. This is like a trial. Let's take a look. Canadians are polite. But people confuse polite with nice. They are not the same thing. Polite and friendly are also not the same thing. Interesting. Canadians are polite, as in, like, respectful, but that doesn't mean nice. What's the difference between polite and nice? Polite would be like waiting in line, holding the door open for someone, like, I don't even know, like not honking at somebody in traffic, or waiting for someone to cross the road if it's raining and you're in a car, like that kind of thing. But that doesn't mean nice. So nice, is that like going out of your way nice? Or like, I'm a little confused. I wish they had elaborated more here. And Canadians are polite, but not necessarily friendly? I need some elaboration here. My wife said it perfectly one time. We always say sorry, but we don't mean it. No! No! This is just shattering all of my beloved Canadian stereotypes. Every time I hear or see a Canadian say sorry, I'm going to think, did they really mean it? Someone on the internet, on Reddit, said that they don't mean it. So obviously, this doesn't. This is not speaking for all Canadians, but that is funny. We say sorry, but we don't mean it. That's interesting. Is that what it is? Like saying sorry is being polite. Canadians are polite, but you don't have to mean it. That would mean you're nice. Am I at all on the right track here? Sorry, not sorry. Also, Canadians just say sorry so much that it means nothing when something actually happens. I could see that. I could see that happening. But this is kind of beside the point. I don't think anything of what we're discussing so far even comes close to touching on what the original poster, the person asking this question, is saying. The original question is like, hey, I'm going to the grocery store, I'm going to the gym, and people are just berating me and treating me like crap. I want to see some answers to that. Fully depends on where you are in Canada. It's a big country after all. Exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking. I think the same could be true for here in the United States, although we are not known for being polite, friendly, and kind as much as Canadians are. But there's certain areas of the United States where you can expect people to be more polite, maybe like smaller towns and communities and stuff, and where people are more impatient. Maybe big cities like a New Yorker or something might tell you exactly. They might tell you exactly what they think of you if you slow them down on their way to work. I agree with this. It tends to be friendlier on the prairies in the maritime provinces. And Newfoundland. Yes. This makes sense to me. I believe this stems from smaller populations, but even in the larger centers such as Halifax and Winnipeg, I find people in general to be helpful and friendly. That more so than Toronto and Vancouver. Interesting. So it does depend on where you are in Canada, which makes so much sense. I think once you start getting a ton of people and a more business-centric attitude and culture, it just naturally brings people with that kind of mindset in order to survive in like a big city and make your way or get anywhere and not be a pushover. You gotta be a little rougher around the edges. Even Canadians, I guess, too. Vancouver has a ton of a-holes and even more worse drivers that make me act like an a-hole. Oh my gosh, you start out going going to these cities, you start out a decent human being and you just turn into one of them over time. I don't know. I don't know if these are exaggerations. I certainly don't think that all people in Vancouver and Toronto are mean Canadians. I'm not quite willing to take that leap, but I would say it would make sense to me that as far as Canada goes, just like in America, higher density areas, higher population areas, people are probably a little less nice just because you see so much people. You don't have time to be nice to everyone. And you're probably in a big city where there's like business and work and impatience and stuff. It makes sense to me. This country runs on passive aggression. Are Canadians a lot more passive aggressive than I ever knew? The sorries don't mean sorry. This is so true. I find in workplaces especially, people who approach problems head on or directly tend to be labeled as rude or problematic. Interesting. People who approach problems head on or are direct are labeled as rude or problematic. I find the same when dealing with older generations or family. Passive aggressiveness Passive aggressiveness is just fake politeness with a lot of anger stewing in your head. Wow. Oh, this one right here. Man, a whole a whole paragraph on exactly passive aggressiveness. A whole dissertation on it. Okay. What else do we have here? I'm starting to get some answers to this. Why this individual might have experienced some not so kind, not so nice behavior. But it really seems like it just depends on where you are in Canada. And I wonder if there's studies on this, or if they've done a study. I would still think overall, if you sampled the entire Canadian population, it's got to be friendlier and nicer than most other countries, I'd still say. Even if you run into people. I think the big point here is it's still possible to run into people in Canada that are not that nice, as great of a reputation as it has. It depends on where you are. I'm on the furthest west coast, as you can get, but in a less than 100,000 person town. People are polite and nice. Polite and nice, which we learned is apparently a big distinction. I never thought of it that way. Politeness and niceness, because both are just like, if you're in the United States and someone's being nice, polite, if they mean it or not, I don't care. No one cares. We're just happy that another individual has expressed some positivity in your direction. I don't care if it's genuine or not. You take what you can get here in America. You really do. So this polite versus nice versus kind stuff, I'm not quite able to get down into the nuance between those. You go to Vancouver, they're less nice. Poor Vancouver, really getting it today. Uh, I'm in a less than 100,000 person town. Is that the key? Is that the key to just live in small towns? I would actually tend to probably agree with that. More of a community feeling. And when you're in like a big, massive city, there's more of a sense of anonymity of being anonymous is what I'm trying to say, where people might just be mean and rude because they feel like they're never going to see you again. And that might be true. They might be right. They probably won't see you again. So they can just say whatever the heck they want to you and scamper off. Be like, I hope you don't have a good day. Ha! And then just, hop on the bus and away they go. What can you do? Ironically, I keep hearing this, but I loved the people in Vancouver. They are so nice and it's so laid back, unlike other big cities in Canada. I'm glad somebody chimed in here on the other side of the argument, defending the Vancouverans. Uh, it's kind of funny because really all of this says to me is that your personal experience is going to be just that, unique to whatever random circumstances and random people you happen to bump into. But again, the person who started this whole discussion felt like they were getting so much negativity in their Canadian experience that they hopped on Reddit and wanted to vent about it. So it seems to be, to me, most Canadians in this discussion would respond by saying, sure, like, we're humans. Like, Canadians are humans, as a matter of fact. You may not have known that. And just like anywhere else in the world, there's people in Canada who can be rude or not so nice or having a bad day or whatever, or just want to make you feel bad for their own sick kicks. Not that we ever do that here in America. No, never. And it's just like, it kind of depends. And it depends on if you're in a big city or a small town or the community. And it can be kind of random, even in Canada, whether you get a nice experience or not. Don't stop being nice and friendly, especially if that's who you are. I like this. I like this comment. We could use more of a friendly attitude towards each other. Sometimes it takes a good role model. I like that. Because the person who started this, oh, here he is. Thank you for saying it. I guess I needed to read that today. Good, good. Yeah, no need to be like, become mean and rude in order to survive in the deadly, unforgiving Canadian population where they're very mean. No, I don't actually believe that to be true. I think when you get to the bottom of it, this was just like one anecdotal story. And I'd love to see the grocery store or the particular gym or the area that this person is in Canada. Might want to avoid that area, perhaps. In Toronto, I've noticed a decline in politeness, a decline in manners and common courtesy. So Toronto now, in the hot seat. It's obviously like one of the biggest cities in the world, right? Good example. Yesterday, I was taking the subway with my young daughters. I explained that you let people off the train first, before boarding. As we exit, a couple with their stroller storms the door as we're trying to exit. This extends to people listening to music on their phones without headphones. Oh, that's annoying. Dogs off leashes in parks. Yes, oh God, I was just I was just learning about the Canadian news the other day where there were a child died to a dog attack. So yes, dogs off leashes in parks can be dangerous. Even if they're a cute, cuddly little corgi, who knows what they're capable of? Biking on sidewalks, driving with a cell phone in hand in a school zone. Yeah, yeah. Yes, the lack of common courtesy is something that struck me as odd, even if not directed at me. So this person might be in a big Canadian city, and maybe that is where the Canadian stereotype of niceness and politeness starts to wane a little bit. Maybe we used to be what is this? We used to be nice, but now everyone is pissed off. Really? Really? Is this a thing? This is it right here. We're either angry, we're depressed, or both. Things started sliding downhill a while ago, but they're really trash now. What does this mean? High cost of living? Stagnant wages? Overinflated housing market? Climate change? Wow. Wow. So you hate to see this right here. This person's saying that this Canadian, yeah, so there's a couple arguments here. Some Canadians are saying, well, it depends on where you are. In Canada, some of us aren't so nice, but a lot of us are nice. And even in the city, there's a lot of nice people, and you should be nice. This person is taking the opposite approach, saying, you're absolutely right. We used to be nice. Now we're pissed off. That's funny to me for some reason. Now we're pissed off. Canadians are pissed. Dang. And I mean, I can't argue with this too much or say that it's wrong because it does feel like things are getting harder in the world. Things are sliding downhill, high cost of living, stagnant wages, the housing market, climate change. Right? Those are good points. People are probably less happy now than they were 30, 40, 50 years ago. Truly. I think that's true. Just across the world, people are less happy. Less happy. So that's a bit of a more pessimistic approach to analyzing this, but I think important to look at that as well. So let's take a look at a couple more comments here. Is it a myth that Canadians are nice? Not since COVID. Canadians haven't been nice since before the pandemic. I've noticed a drastic change in the behaviors of people in Canada pre and post pandemic. You had rude people before, but I've never seen such blatant entitlement and rudeness in my life as I have in the past 3 years. This isn't unique to Canada. Wow, interesting. I mean, the world changed with the pandemic. What the world went through in those years, the lost years. Some are saying. Who even who even knows what happened back then? Does anyone even remember before the pandemic? What was life like? I don't know. I will get out of my truck to disappointedly clean the snow from the back. Wait. I'll get out of my truck to clean the snow from your back window at a stoplight as a courtesy. But I still think you're still a lazy clunge. Oh, what is this? What's a lazy clunge? I don't want to be that. Sounds greasy. This Canadian, that's nice. Get out of their truck to clean your back window. That I've never heard of anyone ever doing that. Is that normal in Canada? That just proves right there Canadian niceness is on another level, even if it's declined or it's different in places around Canada. Canadian politeness and niceness has a high bar to fall from. So even if it's gone down at all, it's still above the rest of us. So you definitely have that going for you. Especially if you clean people's windows. If someone got out of their car and started walking towards my car with a broom, I would think they're gonna attack me. I'd be like, what are you gonna do with that broom? And then they start cleaning my window. I'd be like, what? I don't know if I could even be happy or grateful. I'd just be too shocked. Be like, what is going on? We are nice out loud. In our heads, there is violence. That would make dictators weep. Okay, this is getting a little too scary. I think that's a good place to stop for today. This is getting a little unhinged. I'm starting to see that's why this discussion was locked. No, this discussion is locked down. People are getting weird in here. The violence in the heads behind the politeness. Okay, well, whatever the truth may be, I thought this was a real interesting sort of topic to look at, and also just kind of fun in a lighthearted way because Canadians, I think, know that Canada is known for being nice, polite, respectful culture, and I think that's still very much intact. But it was interesting to kind of see some of the other side of that in these comments from Canadians saying, yes, we are nice, we're polite. Sometimes we don't always mean it. We can be passive aggressive, we can be humans like anyone. Sometimes in bigger cities, people are a little ruder or impatient. None of this like shocks me. And some of the Canadians here were saying, well, the quality of life has seemed to like gone down. People are not as happy anymore, and then you're not going to be as nice or in a mood to be kind, and that makes a lot of sense to me too. So some of this was kind of sad actually to hear about, but I don't think that it's a myth that Canadians are nice. I do not. This has not swayed me or disproven that to me, but I thought this was interesting to look at nonetheless. Anyway, if you enjoyed this as well, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment with your thoughts on, is it a myth that Canadians are nice? That'd be very, very interesting to hear about. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Canada and Canadian culture and learning things about Canada for the first time, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching and see you next time.